A pause for prayer.
I am the vine, and you...
A reading from 2 Corinthians 5:16. From now on, therefore, we regard no one from a human point of view. Even though we once knew Christ from a human point of view, we know him no longer in that way. In retail sales, you learn quickly that you cannot judge a shopper by their looks. The girl in leggings and a sweatshirt may be an heiress. The well-coiffed woman may be way behind on rent. You learn quickly that in order to make sales, you treat every shopper as though they were worth their weight in gold. And frankly, they are. How often do we look at the face value presentation of a person and make a judgment or a decision about how to treat that person based on what we see? I'm not so highly evolved that I always remember to look past appearances, but I have come to a place where I feel like I can appreciate people as works of art. Art is worthwhile for the bits of themselves that the artists pour into their work. When you start looking at people as master-crafted art, what they look like isn't nearly as important as the care with which they have been made. We are made in the image of God.
Dear friends, the writer of today's devotion poses a challenging question to us. How often do we treat someone on their face value presentation? And then she offers a beautiful thought. She suggests that we look at people as master-crafted art, persons loved and shaped by the Creator God. In the Gospels, we see how Jesus teaches us to see people as God would see them, not with eyes that judge and discriminate, but with eyes that appreciate and value. Sadly, however, it seems that we're not good at actually practicing that. Certainly not in the way that convinces many young adults in our society today. A recent book called Unchristian: What a New Generation Thinks About Christians and Why It Matters presents a very unflattering picture of the impressions that this generation of young adults have of Christians. Here are some of the painful statistics about the young adults sampled by the author. 91% of them described Christians as anti-homosexual. 87 described Christians as judgmental. Another 85 thought of Christians as hypocritical. 70% thought Christians were insensitive. And here's what I found shocking. When they were asked what they thought Jesus stood for, most of the young adults sampled said without hesitation, love. And they were totally right. As pastor and priest, I'm deeply troubled by this picture. The new generation is saying that it fails to see evidence of the essence of what Jesus stood for in the way we as Christians live. Something seems to be missing. Friends, Jesus not only spoke beautiful gospel words like love and peace and community, but he lived them out concretely in his flesh and blood and in his daily context. Did we somehow forget that he fed the hungry and healed the sick? Do we fail to remember that Jesus challenged the powerful and placed children at the center? Do we lose sight of the fact that he uplifted those who were discriminated against by the norms of society and religion? Did we forget the essence of his teaching about loving God and our neighbor? Friends, Jesus taught his followers in no uncertain terms, if you love me, keep my commandments. Keep my commandments. He said that twice. It may seem we have the concept of recognizing other people as persons made in God's image, but in the eyes of many in the new generation, we fail in our obedience to Jesus' commandment to love. And I wonder if that is the good news that they are craving to hear and see.
I am the vine, and my Father is the keeper. Come to me.